A doctor who saved hundreds of lives discovers she has only 6 months left to live. A mysterious letter, an unexpected promise. This story will strengthen your faith. Before we begin this emotional journey together, I want to ask you something. If this story touches your heart, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss more inspiring stories like this. And leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Which country, which city. I love knowing that these stories connect people from all over the world. Also tell me, do you believe in miracles? Dr. Helena Moreira was never religious. For her, life was always about science, logic, tangible results. At 38 years old, she is one of the most respected cardiac surgeons in Brazil. 500 successful transplants, an impeccable career. A pride she carries like armor. But pride, as they say, comes before the fall. On a March night during the celebration of her 500th transplant, Helena collapses in the middle of the hospital hall. When she wakes up, the diagnosis awaits her like a sentence. Degenerative cardiomyopathy, 6 months to live, no cure, no options. For the first time in her adult life, Helena has no control. There is no surgery she can perform, no procedure that can save herself. She, who spent 20 years saving other people's hearts, now has her own condemned. The following weeks are a nightmare. Helena withdraws from work, from people, from life. She locks herself in her apartment and spends days staring at the ceiling, feeling her heart fail a little more each day. She feels anger at God, at the universe, at the cruel fate that put her in this situation. Her daughter Sophia, 12 years old, tries to visit her. The girl has lived with her father since the divorce 3 years ago. Helena was always an absent mother, too dedicated to work. And now, when she finally has time, it's to die. "Mom, can we talk?" Sophia asks on one of the visits. "Not now, Sophia. I'm tired," Helena responds, turning her face away. The girl leaves crying. Helena's ex-husband, Roberto, stands at the door. "She loves you, Helena. Don't do this to her. Don't die while you're still alive." But Helena doesn't listen. She's lost in her own bitterness, in her own anger against a God she never believed in, but now blames for everything. 3 months pass. Helena is skeletal, pale, almost unrecognizable. One afternoon, the doorbell rings. She thinks about ignoring it, but the insistence bothers her. When she opens the door, there's no one there. Just a simple envelope on the floor. Inside, a handwritten letter. "Dear Dr. Helena, you don't know me, but I know you. 15 years ago, you tried to save my husband after an accident. You didn't succeed, but you fought as if he were your own family. I heard about your illness, and my heart ached for you. I would like to meet you. Perhaps I have something that might help. It's not a cure, but it's hope. God never abandons us, even when we think he's not there. With affection, Marta Rice." In the envelope there's an address in Vila da Serra, countryside of Minas Gerais, and a bus ticket. Helena reads and rereads the letter. Hope? God? She almost tears it all up, but something stops her. Maybe it's desperation, maybe it's loneliness, or maybe, just maybe, it's a small voice inside her saying, "Go." The next day, without telling anyone, Helena takes the bus. The journey lasts 8 hours. Helena spends the entire time looking out the window, watching the urban landscape give way to fields, mountains, a rural Brazil she had forgotten existed. At one of the rest stops, she sees a small chapel by the roadside. There's a sign, "Stop, breathe, pray." God listens. Helena feels a tightness in her chest, not from the disease, but from something deeper. She doesn't enter the chapel, but for the first time in months, she whispers something she hasn't said since childhood. "If you exist, I need help." Vila da Serra is a quiet little town, with a church in the center square and people who wave to strangers. Helena follows the address to a simple house on the outskirts. When she knocks on the door, a grey-haired lady opens with a warm smile. "You came. Marta Rice exclaims, hugging Helena as if they were old friends. "I prayed so much that you would come. Come in, come in." The house is humble but welcoming. There are crucifixes on the walls, family photos, the smell of fresh coffee. Marta prepares a snack, and the two sit at the kitchen table. "Do you remember my husband?" Marta asks gently. Helena thinks. 15 years ago, a car accident. Severe thoracic trauma. I was just a resident. I fought for 14 hours, but he died," Marta completes without resentment. "I know. The doctors told me that no one else could have kept his heart viable for so long. You kept him alive long enough for the heart to be donated. You gave another family the miracle mine couldn't have." Helena feels tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry, I really tried." "I know you tried." Marta holds her hand. "And that's why, when I learned about your illness, I knew I had to do something. My husband, Augusto, was a man of faith, but he was also a scientist. He always said that God gives us intelligence to discover the miracles he hides in creation." Marta takes Helena to a room in the back. There are files, notebooks, medical documents. Augusto was researching alternative treatments for heart diseases. He believed the answer was in nature itself, that God created everything we need to heal ourselves. We just need to find it. Helena flips through the documents. They are research on stem cells, on natural regeneration, on documented cases of unexplained recoveries. But none of this is concrete. None of this is scientific enough. "Marta, I appreciate it, but this here it's not real medicine. These are theories, hopes, but nothing proven." Marta smiles patiently. "I know, but there's something else I want to show you. Someone you need to meet." Marta takes Helena to a small house a few kilometers away. There lives Tomas Silva, a 45-year-old man, thin but with bright eyes. When he sees Helena, his eyes fill with tears. "Dr. Helena," he says, voice choked, "the woman who gave me a second life." Helena doesn't remember him. There were so many patients over the years. 8 years ago, Thomas explains, my heart failed. Massive infarction. I was 37, 3 young children, a wife. The doctor said I wouldn't make it through the night. But then a miracle came. A compatible heart. And you were the surgeon who performed the transplant. Helena still doesn't remember specifically, but nods. "The heart I received," Tomas continues, "was Dr. Augusto Rice's, Marta's husband. And with this heart, I gained 8 years I wouldn't have had. I saw my children grow up. I saw my first granddaughter be born. I celebrated 15 years of marriage. All thanks to you and his heart." "But now," Marta gently interrupts, "Tomas's heart is failing again. The doctors said there's nothing more to be done. He has at most a few weeks." Helena looks at Tomas, who smiles despite the news. "I'm not angry, doctor. I got 8 years as a gift. 8 years that weren't mine by right. I saw miracles every day. How can I complain?" "How can you be so at peace?" Helena asks, genuinely confused. Tomas places his hand on his chest. "Because I learned something in these 8 years. When you carry another person's heart inside you, when you know someone died so you could live, you can't waste a single second. Each beat is a prayer of gratitude. Each day is a gift from God." Helena feels something breaking inside her. "But it's not fair. You have family, people who love you, a life ahead." "And you don't?" Tomas asks gently. "Your daughter, doesn't she need you?" Helena looks away. "She has her father. She'll be fine." "Do you really believe that?" Tomas insists. "Or is it just fear of letting her see you suffer?" Heavy silence. Helena doesn't respond. Marta intervenes. "Helena, I didn't bring you here to offer a magical cure. I don't have that. But I brought you here to show you something. I brought you here to show you that life, even in death, has purpose. And that perhaps, just perhaps, God has a plan we don't yet understand." That night, Marta invites Helena for dinner. The table is simple but abundant. Before eating, Marta says a prayer. Helena, uncomfortable, keeps her eyes open, watching. But when Marta specifically thanks for Helena's life and for bringing her to us, something moves inside the doctor's chest. After dinner, the three talk until late. Tomas tells funny stories about his children. Marta talks about 40 years of marriage to Augusto, about how she still misses him every day, but knows she'll meet him again. "Do you really believe that?" Helena asks. "In life after death? In reunions?" "I believe," Marta responds with conviction. "Not because I read it in some book or because someone told me, but because I feel it. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and feel his presence. I hear his voice telling me everything's okay, that he's waiting, that one day we'll be together again." Helena wants to dismiss this as the delusion of a lonely widow. But there's something in the peace on Marta's face, in the certainty in her eyes, that makes her hesitate. Helena spends the night in a small hotel in the village. She can't sleep. Through the window, she sees the illuminated church in the central square. There's a night mass happening. Without understanding why, Helena gets dressed and goes out. She walks to the church and stands at the door, watching. It's a simple mass. The priest, an elderly man, speaks about faith in difficult times, about how God never gives us more than we can carry, about how sometimes we need to descend to the deepest valley to be able to see the mountain top. Helena quietly enters and sits in the last pew. The priest's words echo in the empty church. He speaks about Job, about how he lost everything but never lost faith, about how he questioned God, fought with God, but in the end understood that there are things greater than our understanding. When the Mass ends, the priest notices Helena still sitting, crying silently. He approaches slowly. "First time in a church? In a long time?" he asks gently. Helena nods. "Since childhood. I stopped believing when I entered medical school. I thought science and faith couldn't coexist." The priest smiles. "And now I don't know what I believe. I'm dying, Father. My heart is failing and there's nothing I can do. I spent 20 years saving lives and now I can't save my own. Where is God in this? Where is justice?" The priest sits beside her. "Can I tell you a story?" Helena nods. "A long time ago there was a man who was drowning. He prayed to God asking for help. A boat passed and offered help, but he refused, saying, 'God will save me.' Another boat passed, same thing. When the man finally drowned and went to heaven, he asked God, 'Why didn't you save me?' And God answered, 'I sent 2 boats.'" Helena laughs through her tears. "Sometimes," the priest continues, "God doesn't send miracles the way we expect. Sometimes he sends people, connections, moments, and it's up to us to recognize them. You came here for a reason, Helena. Maybe it's not to find a cure, but maybe it's to find peace, purpose, redemption." "Redemption from what?" "From what you haven't yet forgiven in yourself." These words hit Helena like lightning. She thinks about all the patients she couldn't save, about all the times she chose work instead of Sophia, about all the opportunities for love she let pass because she was too busy being perfect. "I wasn't a good mother," she whispers. "I wasn't a good wife. I was only good at saving people who didn't know me. And now I'm going to die, and my daughter will grow up remembering a mother who was never there." The priest takes her hand. "Then you still have time. Use it wisely." That night, Helena returns to the hotel and calls Sophia. The girl answers on the 3rd ring, voice sleepy. "Mom, are you okay? It's 3 a.m. "Sophia, I know. I'm sorry to wake you, but I needed to tell you something." "What, Mom?" Helena takes a deep breath, tears streaming. "I love you and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not being the mother you deserved, for choosing work, for always being absent, for making you feel you weren't important. You are the most important thing in my life, and I failed to show that." Silence on the other end. Then Sophia's voice, also crying, "Mum, where are you? Please let me come there. I don't want to lose you without having you for real first. Villa da Serra, countryside of Minas. I'll send you the address. I'll come tomorrow morning. I love you, Mom. I love you too, my love." Sophia arrives the next day with Roberto. The girl runs into Helena's arms, and the two stay embraced for long minutes. Roberto keeps a respectful distance, but there are tears in his eyes too. Marta invites everyone for lunch at her house. It's a simple but profound moment. Sophia talks animatedly with Tomas about his children. Roberto helps Marta in the kitchen. Helena just watches, feeling a peace she hasn't felt in years. After lunch, Helena finally opens up completely with Sophia. They walk together through the fields around the village. "Why didn't you ever tell me about the illness?" Sophia asks. "Because I was ashamed, angry. I, who spent my life saving people, couldn't save myself. It seemed like a cruel joke from the universe, and I didn't want you to see me like that, weak, scared, lost." "But Mom, do you think I wanted a perfect mother? I just wanted you, any version of you, even the scared one, even the lost one. It's still my mom." Helena stops and hugs her daughter, crying openly now. "I wasted so much time trying to be perfect, trying to prove something, and now that I finally understand what matters, I'm out of time." "Then let's use the time we have," Sophia says with determination. "Let's make every second count." In the following days, Helena transforms. She spends hours with Sophia. They talk, laugh, cry, share memories and dreams. Roberto joins them sometimes, and for the first time the three are a family, even if broken, even if imperfect. Helena also spends time with Tomas, who is getting weaker each day. They talk about life, death, legacy. "Are you afraid?" Helena asks. "Of dying?" "No, of leaving my family to suffer." "Yes, but I trust that God will take care of them, and I'll be waiting when their time comes too." One morning, Marta wakes Helena early. "Come, there's something I want to show you." They climb a mountain near the village. It's a difficult walk for Helena, her heart protesting with each step. But she continues. At the top, there's a simple wooden cross and a spectacular view of the valley below. "Augusto brought me here for the first time when we met," Marta tells. "He said it was the closest place to God he had ever been, not because of the height, but because of the perspective. From up here, our problems seem smaller. Life seems bigger." Helena looks at the horizon. The rising sun paints the sky orange and pink. It's beautiful in a way she has long forgotten to notice. "Marta, why did you do all this? Why did you bring me here, show me Tomas, take care of me?" "Because 15 years ago you fought for my husband when there was no hope left. You didn't give up until the last second, and I never forgot that. When I learned you were sick, I knew I needed to do the same for you. Fight until the last second, not necessarily for your life, but for your soul." "My soul? Helena, you may die in weeks or months. I can't change that. But you don't need to die empty, bitter, alone. You can die in peace, surrounded by love, knowing your life had meaning." Helena feels something breaking inside her, not from pain, but from release. She falls to her knees there, at the top of the mountain, and for the first time in decades, she prays. Not a formal prayer, not memorized words, but a cry from the heart. "God, I don't know if you exist. I don't know if you hear me, but if you do, I'm sorry for having ignored you, for thinking I could control everything by myself. I can't. I'm human. I'm weak. I'm scared. But I'm trying to trust that there's a purpose in all this, that my life, even if short, meant something. Please give me strength, not to live longer, but to live better the time I have left." The sun rises completely, a gentle breeze passes by them, and there in that moment, Helena feels something she never felt: absolute peace. When they descend, Helena is different. Sophia notices immediately. "Mum, you're different." "I'm at peace, love. For the first time in a long time, I'm at peace." The following weeks are the most intense and meaningful of Helena's life. She stops counting the days until death and starts counting moments of life. She teaches Sophia to cook her grandmother's recipe. She makes complete peace with Roberto. She writes letters to each of the 500 patients who are still alive because of her. And she spends time with Tomas, who is in his last days. One afternoon, sitting in Marta's garden, Tomas says, "You know, doctor, I don't think we met by chance. I think God had a plan. Augusto's heart gave me 8 years, and those 8 years led you here. And now you're finding peace. Look at that. A heart continues saving lives even after it stops beating." Tomas dies 3 days later, in peace, surrounded by family. At the funeral, Helena speaks about him, about how he lived with gratitude, about how each day was a miracle to him, about how he taught her what it really means to live. After the funeral, Helena sits with Tomas's family. His widow, Marina, hugs Helena. "Thank you for giving him 8 extra years, for fighting for him that night 8 years ago." "Thank you," Helena responds, "for sharing him with me these last weeks. He changed my life." That night, Helena has a deep conversation with Sophia. "Mom, I'm scared. I don't want to lose you." "I know, love, I'm scared too, but I learned something important. Death isn't the end of love. Augusto's heart stopped beating 15 years ago, but it's still saving lives. Tomas died, but his love lives in his children, in his wife, in everyone he touched. And when I leave, I'll live in you, in every time you smile, in every time you're kind to someone, in every heart you touch. Do you think we meet again? After?" Helena thinks. A few months ago she would have said no, but now I believe we do. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I believe love is greater than death, and our love, my love for you, is eternal. But then something unexpected happens. A month after Tomas's death, Helena wakes up feeling different, less tired, with less pain. She goes to the village's small hospital for a routine checkup. The doctors are confused. They redo the tests. They call specialists from neighboring cities, and everyone reaches the same impossible conclusion. Helena's heart is improving, not cured, but significantly better than it should be. Dr. Marcos travels from São Paulo to see for himself. "Helena, this shouldn't be possible. Degenerative cardiomyopathy doesn't regress, not naturally." "But it's regressing," Helena says, almost not believing it. "Did you do any alternative treatment? Take something different?" Helena thinks about everything that happened in the last weeks, the prayers, the peace, the forgiveness, the love. "No, nothing medical, but I changed other things." The doctors have no explanation. They talk about spontaneous remission, about rare documented cases, about the power of mind over body, but no one really understands. Marta, when she hears the news, just smiles. Sometimes God heals through medicine, sometimes through nature, and sometimes through the heart. When you healed your soul, Helena, maybe you healed your body too. Do you think it was a miracle? I think everything is a miracle if we look right. The sunrise is a miracle. A child laughing is a miracle. 2 people meeting at the right time is a miracle. Your heart improving, just one more on the list. Helena doesn't know if she'll live another 6 months, a year, or decades. The doctors are still cautious, but she knows one thing: she won't waste a single day. 6 months later, Helena returned to São Paulo but changed. She works less, lives more. She and Sophia have a ritual. Every Sunday they cook together, without rush, without cell phones, just mother and daughter. Helena also started something new, a support group for doctors facing serious illnesses. She speaks openly about her journey, about how science saved her body, but faith saved her soul. At one of the meetings, a young doctor asks, "Dr. Helena, do you really believe it was God who healed you?" Helena thinks carefully before responding. "I believe God works in mysterious ways. Maybe he healed my heart directly. Maybe he used reduced stress, peace, love as tools. Maybe it's spontaneous remission that science will one day explain. Honestly, I don't know. And I learned it's okay not to know." "But do you have faith now?" "I do. Not blind faith, but conscious faith. Faith that there's something greater than us, that our lives have purpose, that love is stronger than death, and that miracles happen, not always the way we expect, but always the way we need." 1 year after the diagnosis, Helena is in church, the same one where she talked to the priest on that difficult night. But this time, it's for a special event, the baptism of her first grandson. Sophia, only 13 years old, didn't have a baby, but Tomas's oldest son did, and they asked Helena to be the godmother. Holding the baby in her arms, Helena looks at the gathered family. Tomas's family, Marta, Sofia, Roberto, her medical colleagues, all united not by blood, but by something stronger, by shared miracles, by intertwined lives, by love. The priest, the same one from that night, smiles at her. "God has an interesting sense of humor, doesn't he?" Helena laughs, tears of joy in her eyes. "He does. And now, what are your plans?" Helena looks at Sophia, who is smiling at her. To live, simply to live, each day, each moment with gratitude. And when my time comes, whether in weeks, years, or decades, I'll leave in peace, knowing I loved and was loved, that I lived with purpose, and that there's something waiting on the other side. "That's the greatest miracle of all," the priest says. "Not the healing of the body, but the healing of the soul." In the end, as everyone leaves the church laughing and talking, Helena stays alone for a moment. She looks at the crucifix above the altar. "Thank you," she whispers. "I don't know if you gave me more time to live, but you gave me something better. You gave me life in the time I have, and that's more than I could ask for." A feeling of absolute peace envelops her, and in that moment, Helena understands. The true miracle wasn't her heart functioning better. The true miracle was her heart learning to feel again, to feel love, gratitude, faith, hope. The true miracle was finding God not in the answers, but in the questions, not in the guaranteed cure, but in peace with uncertainty, not in living forever, but in living fully. As she leaves the church and sees Sophia running to hug her, the sun shining, life pulsing around, Helena smiles. Because she realizes she was always surrounded by miracles. She just needed to open her eyes to see. This is a story about faith, not as an escape from reality, but as an embrace of it, about how sometimes we need to descend to the deepest valley to find the highest mountain, about how God doesn't always heal our bodies, but can always heal our souls, if we allow it. It's a story about second chances, about forgiveness, about love that transcends death, and mainly about how the greatest miracles aren't always the ones we see, but the ones we feel inside the heart. Because in the end, it's not about how long we live, but about how we live the time we have.